So, as for the question, would I recommend it? Considering everything I've said so far, it might be quite surprising when I say yes, I would. Hi, my name is Tara Westwell, and welcome back to Panic at the Book Club. This week we'll be discussing The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. If you'd like to take part in this online book club, you can find out more information on how via the channel's intro video. We post the next 4 books down below and on TikTok along with the discussion dates. That way you can choose the genre that best suits you and the best time frame to read it in. We also accept your book feedback in a wide manner of ways. Post your comments below a video, send in a voice note, or even send a short video clip of you discussing the book. Alternatively, you can just send me a direct message on Instagram. A century has passed since the gods fought and drove themselves to extinction. Now only their bones remain, promising great powers to those who seek them out. As whispers of war echo across the land, fate follows in the footsteps of 3 warriors. A huntress on a dangerous quest, a noblewoman pursuing battle fame, and a thrall seeking revenge. All 3 will shape the fate of the world as it once again falls under the shadow of the gods. Set in a Norse-inspired world and packed with myth, magic, and bloody vengeance. I would like to start this off by saying no matter what my thoughts and feelings are on a book, I will not sit here and insult it. I consider literature to be art, and like all art, it's subjective. If I had one pet peeve of BookTube, Bookstagram, BookTok, basically any platform where people are reviewing books, it's where they feel the need to straight up insult someone's work. I've seen this technique done so many times in the form of clickbait. I appreciate every single view, subscription, and interaction with my channel, but I won't sit here and insult someone's hard work in order to get views just because the book wasn't for me. Now, a book might not be for me, but that doesn't mean that you won't enjoy it, and it doesn't mean that the book was technically bad. Just as if I enjoy a book, it doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy it as well, and it doesn't mean that the book is technically a good book. It just means that I enjoyed it. On this channel, we respect the authors and we respect their work. Sorry, rant over, and on that note, this book was not for me. Just your friendly spoiler alert that if you haven't read this book yet, I would suggest going doing that first because beyond this point there will definitely be spoilers. Personally, I prefer books with shorter chapters, and these ones were long. Definitely not suitable to read one before bed if you don't like putting a book down mid chapter. I did read this one on audiobook, and I do usually prefer books from one person's perspective. I also tend to sway more towards female led narratives and female narration, mostly just because I feel like I can get more engrossed in the book and connect a lot more with the characters. So, straight off the bat, I wasn't really sure about this one. Perhaps I would have felt different had Orca's and Elvar's chapters been narrated by a woman, but I'm not sure that that would have fixed the issue that I just had problems following what the hell was going on in the beginning. To be honest, I didn't really start getting into the book or even really start understanding what the hell was going on until about 60% of the way through. Orca was such an interesting character and she did have a really good storyline. I also felt the same about Varg's, but unfortunately, I just didn't enjoy Elvar's storyline anywhere near as much. In fact, I almost found myself wishing that the author had done these as 3 separate books. I know that they all connect in the end, but I still think it could have been done. That way, I think I could have connected with the characters a little more, and more time could have been spent world building in a less confusing way. The author clearly had fun with creating new words and building an interesting dialect, but At times, I felt like I'd started the series 3 books in with the amount that I was supposed to know. Not to mention that certain words and phrases I felt were often overused to an almost obsessive level. The phrase thought box was interesting at first, but quickly became something that I never want to hear again. So, as for the question, would I recommend it? Considering everything I've said so far, it might be quite surprising when I say yes, I would. I think the book definitely had its flaws, but I know many fantasy readers who would really enjoy this. Overall, the story was an interesting one, but personally, for me to enjoy it, the book would have had to have become something that it's not, and that's not a bad thing. Fantasy is such a broad genre, and where one fantasy book might be for you, another one just might not be. So, for those of you who are saying, oh, if you liked Fourth Wing, you should read this book because it's way better, I'm sorry, but that's just fantasy snobbery. The book is nothing like Fourth Wing and might not be a very good introduction to the fantasy genre. But if you like Norse fantasy or are interested into delving into that sort of world, then by all means give the book a try. Despite my own problems with the book, I am interested in what happens next. I really like a side of romance with my fantasy, which this book just didn't have. Also, I feel like the cover promised dragons, and there were not nearly enough dragons. Let me know what you thought. Did you enjoy the book?
I read this book, The Shadow of the Gods, because I thought it'd be more in line with what I normally read, and it was closer than the other books I reviewed for this channel. It really had its moments. It pretty much centers around like 3 characters. Okay, Varg, it just has like a classic, really classic fantasy storyline, but it really wasn't given enough time to like draw me in and really become invested with it. Orca is by far the best character in the book. Really well thought out. The storyline's not cliche, not out there. It's really good. But then, like, the dun 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 moment at the end of her being a retired merc captain may have had more effect if she just got a standalone book, like after the world had already been built. And the third character, Elva, was also present in the book. I feel like the world the book was set in was just kind of like dumped onto the reader. You weren't like led down like this little garden path of whimsy or anything. You were just kind of expected to know what the hell was going on. And I suppose if you're really into like Viking and Norse stuff, you probably already knew like the base material. So it's kind of written for those people in mind. There's really something in this book though. It was so close to me caring. And I get why people like it. And I was really tempted to read the second book, but what I didn't want to do was invest the time just to be in the same position I'm in now. I think the main issue with fantasy books is I think I'll always be chasing that Stormlight high, and that's a really unfair bar to set other fantasy books against. Would I recommend it? Yes, if people like Norse fantasy, I imagine having that base knowledge would really give it a big lift. I don't think, yeah, it is well written, I think, anyway. And like the world is good, and 2 out of 3 of the characters are good. And there's about to be dragons and gods and stuff happening. So that happened. That was nice. So, yes, I would recommend this book.
Next week, we'll be discussing How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. So don't forget to get your comments and thoughts in by Monday, the 22nd of January at the latest to be a part of the discussion. You can now do this on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram. The following week, we'll be discussing A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tillie Cole. But don't forget, if you do need a little bit longer to read a book, we do now list the next 4 books down below and on TikTok, along with the discussion dates. That way, you can choose the genre that best suits you and the best time frame to read it in. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It always means a lot. And I will see you all next week. Bye.